What is the secret to happiness?
The secret to there is no secret. You just be happy, I guess. Really, there's no big secret. You just gotta find what you enjoy doing and do more of it, and do less of what you don't like doing. My mom said to me when I was lying in bed with her when she was actually dying of cancer, and I said, "Okay, Mom, I gotta ask some questions. What are the three things I need to know? What do I gotta know?" And she said, "Life is simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Be nice, and laugh a lot." And it seemed like even her instructions were simple. Like that's a pretty basic plan for happiness, and that's guided me for at least 7 years, at least. Yeah.
Obviously, being sick could make you say, I'm going to worry more.
Sure.
Have you been able to worry more or worry less, or been able to keep that?
I think the worries change along the way. When you first start out with this experiment, you kind of worry about your family, and you worry about your friends, and you worry about how they're going to deal with it, survive. What's the plan for them afterwards? And then you start going into things like, and I remember reading this when my mom was going through her, and I wanted to learn more about death and how to deal with the dying. And I remember reading one of the things that they worry the most about was, will they be remembered? What's their legacy? And I always thought, that's really interesting. So with my dad, we made a book on my mom. So I made sure my mom saw this cool book of her life, that we would all the great things she had done, and the memories weren't going to go anywhere. So you start going from worrying about your family and things to things like your legacy, And I didn't expect, I remember reading it, but I never expected that. And then the little worry things like pain or management of the drugs and stuff, yeah, they're like the little tiny pebbles that annoy you that in your shoe, but they're not big worries, because that's just going to be what it is. You give your life into the hands of the doctor or the process, and you say, you guys take care of that, I'll worry about the bigger things. So I actually think I worry less.
Really?
I honestly do, yeah. Because all the rest, there's so much noise. That's why I like the bathtub. Gets rid of all the noise, the white noise of life, and you fret about silly, stupid, you have arguments about ridiculous things, and then all of a sudden, when you go through this, all of a sudden that stuff becomes white noise, and you just go, sure, you win. You can have that argument. Doesn't happen every time, but certainly aim towards that.
What about, you think about your family, so what do you think is the key to raising kids?
The key to raising kids. They are their own people. They're that nature and nurture argument. They're both right, and they come out being built with a fragment of a foundation, and your job is just to build that foundation up and get out of the way for the rest. Because you can see their personalities. You can see John and Tess, their differences. And you can see what makes them pains in the ass, and you can see what makes them extra special, good people. And so you just harbor, and you can manage, and you just help guide them. But they are who they are. So get out of their way and let them be. Now, I might be saying that as a father of an 18 and a 16-year-old, where the foundation's built.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, both pretty solid foundations. So
Yeah.
sent Jack off to university this weekend, and he was like, even Tracy said, I'm not even sad. And it was interesting because she's been preparing to be sad, but watching him go off and the environment he was in, he was just so happy.
Really?
He was, and the foundation was solid. He was able to, you could tell he was going to screw up as he's supposed to and learn along the way, but he's built. He is who he is right now.
What things did you do with him that you say, I'm glad we did that?
Well, I was thinking of Amanda going to school today, and I thought, the thing I said to her was, Amanda, you're going off to school. What's your job today? And she says, if there's a new person, welcome them and bring them into my circle. I said, that's right. And that was it, right? So that's little things like that. And these little teaching moments happen all the time, but my big teaching moments have always been around kind of what the lessons my mom gave me, because that's intuitively who I was. and my father gave me, which was, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it on your own. Don't wait for others to figure it out. You got to go out and figure it out on your own. So it's been a blend of those two from my side. And then Tracy's is completely the opposite. Like, I'm way more of a risk taker. She's way more of a planner, you know? So all this information, that's why I say it's up to them.
Right.
All this information keeps getting handed to them with differences of opinion. And it's up to the kid based on their personality and what direction they want to take the information to assimilate it into their own consciousness, I guess. So young kids, play way more than you could ever imagine. You should play with them, teach them the importance of being a good friend, and don't waste time worrying about the spilt milk. Like we worry about so much stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I just find we get in the kids' way. They already have it figured out, man.
Yeah.
They're playing nonstop. They're making friends nonstop. They're learning new things every day. And what do? We come in and say, no, stop, don't, can't.
Right.
To protect them, of course.
Right.
But I think we overprotect them right now.
When you think back on all you've accomplished in your life, are you disappointed that your glasses are fogging up right now?
And I'm sweaty as hell. And I don't think it's because I'm in a bathtub with a naked man. Because I'm okay with that.
Right.
And you're a pretty nice guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your foot is jamming my arse.
What do you think people worry too much about?
What other people think.
Uh,
That's it. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. And I just feel like we're, as a society right now, it's getting, I could argue both sides, that it's actually more opportunity to be free in who you are nowadays.
yeah.
Do what you think is right. Be who you are.
What's a secret to marriage?
Secret to marriage.
Yeah.
You're nailing all the ones that you're working on in your own head, aren't you?
Totally.
This
Yes.
is always, every time I watch you do an interview, it's always like you don't even care what's going on in their life. You only care about how it solves your problems.
Yeah.
Bastard. Secret to marriage? Similar thing I just said about kids.
What's that?
Let them, they are who they are, let them be. You know, you have to be a team, you have to work together. So part that I would say is the best piece of advice that I still have to work on is communication. Just talk it out. Just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, and what do you think? And if I had the real smarts, I'd do that before it became an issue.
Right.
But sometimes that's hard because you don't want to upset the apple cart right when you're in it.
Yeah.
Everything's going well, but that thing you did bugged me.
Yeah.
If I say anything about it now, then I'm going to ruin this awesome moment we're having.
Is part of the challenge for you that Tracy is like 1,000,000 times smarter than you?
I don't know, million's a lot. Like 500,000 maybe.
One of the things I struggle with is that I look back on a day and think I was trying to control John, trying to control Tess, and trying to control Blythe, trying to control, like thinking I need to guide and push and manipulate. And I'd probably be a lot easier if I just sort of said, well, they are who they are, and that's what's going to happen.
And I, you know, you stopped at family. You know, you did Blythe.
Yeah,
you know, I'd even extend it to, you know, like Rob and all your other brothers or people you work with, or, you know, like so much. And this is really interesting. This is a really interesting thing that I'm going to have to write around in my blog, because I actually haven't thought about this, but you just opened up a whole bunch of things that I've been thinking in the background. Like, because we try and control, we actually stop quite often before the real fun starts, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much interesting stuff right around the corner that if you actually just stuck your head out
right
further than you'd normally gone, like if you're on a bike ride or in a hike, and I've done this so many times, so I've gone on a hike and I've stopped and I've turned back, and then the next day I did the hike and I go, oh my God, why are we hanging out here when this was here?
Yeah.
Right? And it's because I stopped for some reason. And I just find, I question in my life all the time, what was around the corner, or what would have happened had I, you know? So for this last year, I've been doing a lot less of the what would have happened, or, you know, I really don't have the money for that, or do I have the time for that, or do you think anybody would want to do that? And instead of saying, I'm going to go ask people if they want to do that, or I'm going to try this, and if everybody wants to come along, you stop it. You kill so many great ideas and opportunities before you even discover them. So I've been thinking about that a lot. Thanks. You brought that up. I'll give you a discount
On my tub talk.
on your tub talk.
Just like you and your mom, what's your top 3? What do I need to know?
Top 3 moments. My mom laughed if somebody fell downstairs or something like that.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. So one time we were having a mock argument, and she pushed me, and I went down this flight of stairs to like a concrete floor, and she's laughing before she found out, and then she says, "Are you okay?" But her automatic reaction was to laugh, and I'm lying down there, and then I laughed, and she laughed, and we both thought that was pretty funny. Lying in bed with my mom when she was giving me the top 3,
Yeah.
that was because it's kind of like that last moment type of thing, and it stayed with me forever, and and the advice was so powerful. I remember that.
Was that emotional? It must have been.
Oh yeah, the whole thing was emotional. So she'd had breast cancer, then it became liver cancer, and then she chose. She didn't. She was a nurse, and she said, I don't want to go through the whole chemo, radiation experience. She chose to just stay at home, and so for 9 months she went through this process, knowing full well that there was no positive outcome other than that the pain would be done with. I remember on one of the last ones, and so after 9 months, the body gets more frail, and you can just see the deterioration. Flying back to Ottawa each time, it'd be different, and the brothers would each give us updates. And on this last one, I said, "Okay, now's the time to ask the question." And so I was lying in bed with her, and I asked the question, and she laughed at me, and I said, "What's funny?" She says, "I was wondering when you were going to ask, and I knew it was going to be you that was going to ask the question." And so she answered them, and I went, "That was great," and we both cried, and it was just like this brilliant experience. But my mom and my dad, pretty pragmatic people. They're emotional, when need be, but death, to me and our family, death is kind of death. It's like, it's inevitable. And I don't know whether that was taught to us or whether it was taught to them. I remember Tracy driving me to the airport, and I was bawling my eyes out because knowing the mom had passed away in her sleep. And so that was for me heading out there. And I remember bawling, and I cried a lot. But once I got there, all the 4 boys were there, and we had an emotional moments, and we just basically, I remember sitting around, the 3 brothers were there. Hal unfortunately couldn't make it. We were sitting around the table, and we just pulled out the paperwork, and it's almost like we were, my other brothers are more, I was always called the girl in our family. Yeah. Because I was smaller, I had long hair, and I was the emotional one. I was always the one trying to do what the sister would normally do, and try and keep everybody together and all that type of stuff. And so I never broke the bubble of trying to pull emotion out of them. Yeah. They were just heads down, doing the taxes, getting the estate done, funeral arrangements, all that type of stuff. And we just plowed through it all. Then we played cards and got drunk with my dad. And so that that's an impressive memory. And
when you talk about your blog, your sort of mission maybe is a bit strong a word, but sort of this desire to normalize cancer, normalize what you're going through. So what's your hope with that?
Yeah, well, it started off not necessarily as a mission, and it's not a mission, but it kind of is. It's it's the same mission. I was talking about this earlier today. We lost our first child, miscarriage. Yeah. Right. And then that happens, and all of a sudden, out of the woods, everybody comes and says, "Yeah, it happened to us. Happened to us. Did you know 1 in 3 people have it?" I don't know if that's the exact stat, but all of a sudden, everybody starts telling. But you've gone through this hellacious experience where you've gone, "Oh God, we're never going to have kids again. What's happened? What did I do wrong? What did we do wrong?" All that, right? Can I ever have kids? So I now, whenever I hear from a dad, a soon-to-be dad, that he's having a child, I tell him that. I tell him that story. And I say, "Okay, I'm just going to tell you. I'm not wishing. I'm not explaining. I'm not doing anything other than letting you know this is what's out there." Because nobody tells you, because they don't want to talk about that stuff. I take that same approach to dying and to cancer. My father passed away a few days ago, right?
Yeah.
And same type of thing. If you put it up on Facebook, you don't go to the office. Everybody in the offices all know, and you're getting a flood of emails in, and you've got this point where, if you've never experienced something like that, the emotions that come with that, with hundreds and hundreds of interactions, you just most people can't figure out. The answer is sending my condolences, right? Because they don't even know what else to say.
Yeah.
And so I just figure it's a natural thing. It's going to happen. So why don't we talk about it more? Why don't we make it more comfortable to be able to have a real open, honest, genuine conversation about it, versus I just want to say it. I feel a lot of empathy, but I'm really awkward and I really want to get out of the room as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So when I had my first bout with cancer, it felt like it came and went, and I didn't tell a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I kind of ignored it. Second one, when it was terminal and told you have a year to live, all of a sudden the game changes. And everybody has a really hard time figuring out how they're going to deal with you and it and talking about it. So I just started making jokes. I just started talking about it overtly. I started a blog. You and I started things on Dave Kelly Live. I just made it more open. And you'd be amazed at how many people now I have conversations with that are family members. I've got a bunch of guys that I meet on different occasions that are going through it. And I feel so much better being able to provide guidance or an open door policy or freedom to talk for everybody around.
Yeah.
Because they're all experiencing it. So it's not a mission, but it's just something that I'm a little bit more conscious of and trying to do something with.
Jason thought I should ask you, everyone's dying. We all are.
Yeah.
But you have been given a bit more of a heads up, I guess, as you would say. So he said you should ask him if there's anything looking back on his life that he would change. And then he stopped and he said, he'd probably say cancer.
No. Would I change cancer? This is going to sound really trite, but it's not. It is absolutely not. Cancer's been a gift.
Really?
Like, I have done so much in this past. Like, I was told a year, right? And so, what do you do if you're told you have a year? Pack it in, right? People could go the other way.
Yeah.
People could pack it in and say, "Woe is me," do nothing, sit in their room and feel sorry for themselves. So, chose not to do that. Also, chose not to quit working.
Yeah.
Because if I said I'm quitting working, my brain would turn around and say, "All right, you're accepting that you're dying." And I just said, I'm not accepting that timeline. I know I'm dying. But what I did get as a lesson was, I have to do more shit. I don't have enough time. There's a whole list of things I got to start checking off. So then I started thinking about all these big, grand, glorious things. And they kind of lost their appeal. I still want to do some of them.
Yeah.
But I just want to hang out with my friends, with my family. I want to do some of those really simple things. I want to enjoy ice cream more. I want to really, those things that you do every day, that you just kind of do, I enjoy them. Or like, I went to Village Ice Cream, and I went there 4 times up the street, 4 nights in a row. And I had Fiasco Gelato at home. I did. I had like 5 moments where I just had
all the frozen
stuff that most people would say, you've had it 3 nights, you had it 2 nights, you already had it once this month. It's crazy talk. All you gotta do is go for a longer walk and say screw that too.
So just sit in the tub. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with the rest of the tub?
I want to know why you're in the tub with me. That's
a good question, Jim, and I don't actually have an answer, except I'm pretty sure my brother Rob is going through your wallet right now.
Yeah, Rob. God bless him. Because I'm trying to answer some questions about my own family.
Yeah.
Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
What's the biggest mistake you've ever made?
Ooh. I would think the biggest mistakes, and I don't know if this is accurate, but when I think, people ask me, well, if you could change anything, what would you change? The only thing I would really change is trying sooner.
Yeah.
Like I've hung on to things because I was afraid to try something else, right? It's sort of that, I don't know that I totally buy my gut because I have a hard time with that one, but I think like when I should have just got out of a job when I didn't want to, like just go. Don't sweat it so much, things will work out. But I find that it's hard for me to, so I think that's it. Like there's not one moment where I think that was a mistake, as much as I think I just wish when I wanted to try something or was done with something that I would just go.
Yeah. It kind of fits in the same vein as what I said in terms of my kids, right?
Yeah.
Just be who you are and just
Yeah.
forget about what everybody else says.
And that's for me always been the hardest thing, is my gauge is always, what do people think of me? What are they thinking right
Yeah.
now? What do they think if? And I remember I was married once, as you know, before I married Blythe. And I remember when I went through that divorce, it was very hard. But what was funny to me is how life went on so quickly. Like immediate people cared, and my mom and dad certainly cared from the religious perspective. But as far as life, like you walk in and you say, like it doesn't matter. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's easy to think everyone is so worried about what I'm doing, but
Mm-hmm.
when something big happens, you realize they actually don't really care what I'm doing.
No. And the older you get, the more you realize that, right?
Yeah.
So the young, if you got married and divorced young, then the whole whose friend is Dave's and whose friend is the ex, right? That stuff becomes, whereas in the older they go, Dave's divorced.
Yeah. And it's news,
Want pizza?
and people talk about it, and then it's not news anymore, and they don't talk about
Yeah,
it.
because really, the ones that are your friends, at that point they're going, okay, well, how do we make Dave comfortable?
Yeah.
How do we get through this together?
Yeah.
Right, well, I'm glad that you came by my house for a bath, Dave. This has been really fun. The bubbles are starting to disappear. There's only one little section I can see here that's actually doing its job, and once they're gone, I don't want you in my bathtub anymore. Just saying. Not saying.
No.
Just saying.
Should we just have a gentlemanly handshake to end it? Would that be good?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.